Welcome to the Soul Navigators podcast. I'm Dr. MonaLisa Coburn, and each week we explore the living wisdom of one consciousness through grounded, soul-led conversations. The themes we explore are inspired by my book, The Joy of One Consciousness, but this space goes far beyond the pages into real-life application, healing, and awakening. So take a breath, settle into your heart, and let's begin today's journey together. Hello, everyone. We welcome you, and we welcome Katie and Mindy. Mindy Jackson is our special guest today, and so excited. We're very excited to hear her awakening story and how she navigates this life being awake, and so much more. So I just want to welcome you to Soul Navigators personally, the podcast, and Katie, do you have anything you want to say before we dive into Mindy's story?
Well, after reading your background and your information about you, I was so excited to get you on here. It's great. And what I love about it is that we are running into more and more people who don't realize that they are awakening. So every story just strengthens that. And I think yours today, after reading about you, is really going to give them that aha moment that they're in their awakening stage too. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay, Mindy. So before this life that you have now, that you paved out for you, following a soul path, what was it like? What was your awakening like?
Before this life? Oh, well, do you want me to go back to my starseed origins or like childhood in this lifetime?
When you go into your heart space, and if you could imagine so many people on their awakening journey, and they don't even know that they're on the awakening journey. Do you remember that for you? Those kind of things, those stories that happened to you? When I was going through my dark night of the soul, I don't even know if the term had been invented yet, dark night of the soul. It was a 10-year journey that basically my husband and myself, we lost everything, right? We lost our home, went bankrupt, the universe kept hitting us with a bigger hammer and a bigger hammer to get us to wake up. And so finally, I got on my hands and knees and I said, show me the way out. And wouldn't you know it, I had a vision. My mom and my grandmother, who I'd never seen my grandmother in a vision before. I'd seen my mom once or twice, but she comes on in and they say, you're not a tree, move. Meaning let the house go, let the bankruptcy go, start anew. And that's all I needed. And that began a new life, a new journey for us. So what about you, Mindy? What happened during your awakening to wake you up?
Well, what I'll say is I've been through many, one after the other in my life. You'd think I would have woke up a long time ago, but I think I had increments of awakening. And I would say really, if I'm completely honest, I don't know that I ever went completely asleep, so to speak. When I was 5, I had a near-death experience. I drowned in a lake near our home, and I remember floating towards this shimmery light at the bottom of the lake, and was thinking, "Wow, I'm swimming underwater without holding my nose and without moving my arms." I was at the age where I would show my mom, "Look, I can swim underwater." So I remember having just this openness that I think over the years I tried many times to try to close down, actually. So it was a bit of the opposite in a way. And I would say that my most recent experience was with the death of my mom last year, where I had pre-grieved her. and was letting go. And I knew that there was some entanglement there on her part. And it was almost as if I couldn't completely be free until she passed away. And when she passed away, I did feel that. I felt this opening, this new awakening, this like liberation. And I felt both sad and, liberated, and I refused to feel guilty for it. And so I had a lot of healing. I had a lot of healing that came through with that. Did I lose you guys for a minute?
No, so let's go back there for a second. So you said you felt this entanglement. So a lot of our listeners may not know that whoever we're close to in this life, we're all frequency beings. So our frequency, especially if you love them or they're a blood relative, you are entangled just by your frequencies are entangled. And you don't have to live in the same state. You don't have to even live in the same country, but you're entangled in the sense that your field, your electromagnetic field, if you want to get scientific, is entangled with theirs across space and time, because space and time is not real. So I felt you saying, and please correct us if I'm wrong or Katie's wrong, that you said you were entangled. So that you took on some of your mom's energy. Would that be correct?
Yes, to a degree, because primarily the purpose, the reason she was emotionally entangled as well as somewhat trauma bonded with me, she was carrying a lot of generational and ancestral trauma that got passed to me, that culminated in, me being able to release a lot of the energy from that, but not being able to repair cartilage, which frustrated me because I wanted to be able to heal that and repair that. And hopefully one day I'll unlock that in my DNA. But I had to have a hip replacement surgery not long after she passed away. But the entanglement.
Wait a minute. Your team is coming in and saying that they're saying that all that there is, Creator God, and you know this, and I'm just really telling this for the audience. I'm trying to tell this without crying. Your team came in and just said, and this is very beautiful, that source energy gave them, the doctors, the knowledge how to repair that hip, and you used it as a tool, as an aid, as a permission slip, a glorious one, to show others that that it's a good thing sometime to go to allow yourself to go under the knife and to be the hero of your own journey. And so that's what they're saying. And I'm trying not to cry because, I'm trying to lead this podcast.
Well, I can completely validate that because I had hit this point before surgery where I was really frustrated with myself. I had these high expectations that I could just heal anything, that I should be able to just heal anything, right? And what I was shown was that the top of my femur had absorbed the last of the residual trauma that I wasn't able to clear. And I was shown a vision of how that bone was surgically removed, and then the replacement was put in there. And then the message that came through was, Mindy, remember, we don't do healing alone. It is a community effort sometimes, and you have to reach out and allow other people to help you heal. And that was exactly what I heard coming through when you were talking about that, when you were listening to my team.
Yeah. So you just use different words, but the same message. I think that's beautiful. Sorry, Katie, did I interrupt you? Did you?
I did. I have a question. So, sometimes one has a domino effect on another. So once you were told that, okay, now you have to allow and receive and all that stuff, that's very hard for a lot of us, especially when it's related to emotional traumas from way back when. So then did you find that that was your aha moment, or was that it led you down another path of having to learn how to let go and receive, basically?
Well, I definitely think domino effect is a good word for that because, and let me back up just a moment, but right before my mom passed, she was having difficulty because she was tethered to trauma. She had had a recent trauma not long before she passed, and she was in a lot of pain from it. And she was in the stages where she was sleeping a lot. My sister said when she would wake up screaming, thinking that she was on fire again. She had accidentally burned herself. And I realized immediately that that was sort of tethering her. So I asked her higher self if I could clear that for her so that she could pass more smoothly. And I did. And when I did clear that, I could see this whole mesh of other traumas in my mind's eye. I could see this mesh in her energy field of all those traumas she had been hanging on to. And in that moment, I was like, oh, wow. My mom was the way she was. She loved me and hurt me because of what she was carrying, and she couldn't heal it. And here I was with the opportunity to do that, not only for myself, but for her. And so I asked her higher self if I could clear all of that, and I got a yes, and I did. And that was sort of the mom dying era awakenings that happened. And after that, when I got to the hip surgery, when I got to the point where I had to completely surrender to, okay, I'm going to ask for help. I didn't want to have to, but I am. I just had more and more revelations about how trauma and DNA affect us and how far back it really does go. So does that answer your question, Katie?
Yes, thank you. One's linked to another, and then we just continue to grow through it. But it, like you're saying, if I heard this correctly, at a time you were thinking, oh, I could help heal these people, but you have to heal yourself before you can help heal a lot of the other people, I think is what I heard. Sorry.
And I don't think I would have been able to clear that trauma from my mother had I not already been clearing that trauma from myself. And I was by no means, I was not completely healed yet. And I think that was part of the lesson too, is you don't have to be completely healed to help other people heal. It does help. And especially if you've been through something similar, you have that deep empathy, not just regular empathy, but deep empathy. And so for me in my personal journey, it's been a bit, I can't say easier, but I will say smoother in a way to help people heal through things that I have some familiarity with myself.
You think we aren't ever going to be completely healed?
Here's what I've kind of come to is like for me and a lot of the clients that I work with, it's sort of like there's this phase of healing and there's this ascension, expansion, and then there's a plateau where there's not much going on. And in these times, we tend to give back more. We tend to do or help others heal more and those kinds. And then but here, life is always happening. We're going to get hurt. We're going to lose people we love. We may face trauma again, So are we always healing? I think healing and evolution of the soul go hand in hand, so to speak.
I totally agree. And we are soul beings before human, meaning that our human bodies are just a small part of our soul. And there's soul contract and soul agreements we have no idea. And we said, okay, when we think we're awakening, throw this at us. Oh, we got that? Then throw the kitchen sink at us, It doesn't end. And I love, you use the words deep sympathy and empathy. So you used empathy instead of sympathy. And so when you begin your awakening journey, that's one of those aha moments. When when before you're awake and perhaps you saw someone who was homeless and you just felt so sorry for them. So now, as a awakened being, how do you know you're awake, right? When I see someone who's really down on the luck, whatever it is, I have empathy for them, meaning I honor their story. I see that they brought themselves to that because we all create our own reality. We all create our own life. And if I can, if my spirit, my soul, you want to call it your innate, your consciousness, wherever you are in your walk, it's fine, says, hey, buy this person lunch or dinner or whatever, I will, because I always look at it, they are God and I'm God in the flesh. And from one God to another, if I can help them out, I will. I don't have to. And I don't feel sorry for them. I honor their walk. I have empathy for them without the sympathy. And that took me a while to develop, right? It wasn't just, oh, I'm not going to feel sorry for you, just have empathy. I had to develop the empathy deep in order to understand that. And so when people have people around them die and they say, oh, we're so sorry for you, I'm like, I'm not sorry for the person who died. They're over on the other side and having a great party, doing all the soul things, seeing what lessons they learned. They're talking to people. How do I know this? I see dead people, right? It just, part of our awakening lives is you begin, if you want, to see people on the other side and have conversations with them. So when they first cross over, especially if it's a mom, a child, a brother, we're still human, even though we're awake. We will go through the grief stage. For most of us, it's going to get quicker and quicker and quicker, right? And every now and then we think, oh, we got this. Like I had 3 or 4 deaths that just I went through, and I'm like, I must be a really good enlightened being. And then you guys know what happened? I had a cat that died. A cat. Oh my gosh. I could not cry enough puppy. And I'm like, oh, that was the difference between me knowing people who died, having relatives who died, and being that little cat who was 18 months of sickness and that I cradled in my arms every day and held and felt the meows. And is still here as a ghost. My new puppy barks at her all the time. And I'm like, that's just Shadow. Quit barking at the ghost. So, yeah. So I kind of, me and Shadow laugh about it now. But I can laugh about it. But anyone who knows me will tell you the first couple of weeks that cat died, I was a mess. And then in January, I had a brother who I loved unconditionally, worshiped the ground he walked on. See, you can feel me getting emotions. And he's here. He's like, he's like, no boohooing. That's exactly what he says every time. I can hear him plainly my 30-year, no boohooing. He goes, I'm going to walk away. That's this big thing. And so my third eye, if he really walks away, he'll show me he's in his hiking booth because that's his favorite thing to do. And he's hiking and he's going away. And I'm like, no, don't do that right now. I need your help. I need your support. He goes, I'm just kidding. He's not going anywhere right now. So, yeah. So Mindy, so after you had this beautiful awakening, you now navigate your soul. What kind of things do you do now as an awakening being?
Well, I do a lot. And currently, I am really holding space. I'm in liminal space between my father, who is transitioning out. He's hours to days left, and my granddaughter, my first grandchild coming in, who is anytime, anytime. So I hold space a lot for others. And I've learned that it's important for me to hold space for myself as well, and to not put such high expectations. It's okay to have high standards and high expectations, but being able to reevaluate them frequently is really important. There are other things that I do as far as like the work I do here. I use an integration of clinical skills, various energy healing modalities, and shamanic practices to transmute or help my clients transmute dense, heavy energies from traumas, from their bodies, from their energetic fields. And then I help them with that intuitive awareness that gets expanded due to trauma. Once they're no longer in the anchor of fear, their intuition, which has been expanded, but it kind of gets limited and it's more fear based, starts to shift into love based because they start to love themselves again. And so that love based intuition is much more expansive. And I get the opportunity to help them learn about their gifts and sharpen their gifts and discover more and more and more about themselves and where their gifts can lead them.
Well, what about this crystal vision?
That's a whole story.
That's why I asked.
So in 2023, I had heart surgery to remove a cyst from my pericardium. And the pain from it was so intense that about 3 days later, I had a stroke. The stroke was in the occipital lobe, which is in the back of the brain. It's the visual cortex. And so I had central vision loss. And it wasn't like black in the center of my vision, as you might think. It was my brain just didn't see your nose. If we were talking, you looked like Voldemort. You didn't have a nose. You had only part of a lip. I missed the golden window, and I was told that most likely the vision loss I had was permanent, and I just refused to accept it. It was not in the cards for me, so to speak. And so while I was in the hospital going through testing, I was like looking at my phone through my peripheral vision, trying to figure out, well, what do I do? How do I rehabilitate this? I've got to jump on it. And the recommended rehabilitation was doing visual arts. So I had friends bring me art supplies, and I started drawing a little bit and started with watercolor, which I'd always dabbled into art a little bit, but I was never like super good at it or anything. But as I painted and I drew in the hospital, I started saying, okay, I don't know if it's my vision or if this is real, but there seems to be like I'm good all of a sudden. What is up with this, right? So by the time I left the hospital, I could see part of the nose and I could see the whole mouth again. So I knew I was on the right track. And when I got home, I had time before going back to work and seeing clients that I didn't want to just lay around and be lazy and take a chance on having another stroke and all that. So I wanted to be engaged in doing something. So I decided I would paint a collection, and I painted the 22 major arcana of the tarot in my own style and lived the meaning of every card as I painted it in real time. So as far as the hero's journey, which is what the 22 major arcana talk about, I definitely went on my own hero's journey. And I named the collection The Return of the Divine Feminine. And I had no idea where that was leading me until now. But one of the biggest lessons I think that came from all of this, and let me back up and say I painted like a master out of the blue. There was a depth to my art that I didn't have before. And there was a depth to my clairvoyance. I was already clairvoyant, but it gave me another depth that I didn't have before as well. So one of the big lessons that came out of this was what we think of as damage is not always damage. It can be a doorway. And what it did for me,
Exactly.
the reason I say crystal vision is there's multiple layers to that. Primarily, my divine feminine returned. I began walking more in my Sophia Christos self. And I work with crystalline energies now, and those crystalline energies I often pull in from the sun and anchor into earth grids. And so I'm able to see the crystalline frequencies as well as perceive life from my Sophia Christos. And of course, this is where the birth of the sanctuary of Krystal, Sophia, came from as well.
So that's beautiful. That's a very, very beautiful story. You hinted about you do Earth Grid. So you want to tell us all that story? How you heal Mother Earth, and how can our listeners help heal Mother Earth Grid as well?
And it really is very simple. I would say go to a location, whether if you have like green space in your own property, if not, go to a park or somewhere and look for any place where you can see for a long, like through trees, right? Where you can see for a distance. And if you stand there right in the middle of that, what looks like a straight line for a moment, and feel, you will feel something different than if you step to the side. And what you're feeling, that difference is most likely you are on a little ley line. So there are little ones, there's big ones. The whole earth is covered in what is kind of like spider webs, and there's different dimensions of different grids. And so it's not this clear cut like you see on TV, or even I saw on Gaia TV recently, which was surprising. But if you look that up on the web, you're going to just see this very like angular, symmetrical grid around the earth. And there's some truth to that, but it's more like spider webs, and energy is always flowing. Well, in some places it does get stagnant, but for the most part, it flows. So it's not in these static lines like people may think of. Mm-hmm. There are spaces where it does go in a straight line for a while. But if you've ever noticed how a deer trail or a creek is kind of windy, and it can go off in these different like curvy, there's never an angle. I've never seen an angle naturally like that. Animals in water tend to follow those electromagnetic lines. And with the shifting of the frequencies, with the crystalline frequencies coming in, we're having not just that electromagnetic grid, we're having the crystalline grid coming in as well. So you can literally just go to a spot that feels good. More than likely, you're on a nodal point. If you find a spot in a natural space that just feels light and loving, give that light, loving feeling back. Say, I honor you as much as you honor me. It's kind of like we're pushing down on the earth and she's pushing back up on us. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And if you relate to her that way, then, you know, you'll definitely start seeing more abundance in your life. That's for sure. But the crystalline frequencies that are coming with the sun, with some of the changes, I think, that are going on with our sign. Plus, I don't know how they know this unless it's all intuitive, but we're supposedly moving towards the center of the universe more. But wherever we are in the universe or multiverse, we definitely are hitting some frequencies that we've never really hit before, or if we have, it's been a very, very long time ago. And even very long time ago, we weren't the same humans we are now. So it's like
the Mayans had it right. So we cycle every 25,000 to 26,000 years. And I tell people, my guides have come in and said, you know, God plays with time because it doesn't really exist. So it's not exact, right? You can watch and map the stars and get the pretty close, you know? So we were hitting this high consciousness about 26,000 years ago. And Earth, because of its inhabitants, didn't make it, meaning that we stayed asleep. Okay. So now at this time, planet Earth has a consciousness, Mother Earth, and she's already went into fourth density. There's already a fourth density Earth. And those who choose, basically, those who choose to live from more and more of the heart space, and you raise your frequency, you get to go in your next lifetime and be a high dimensional being and go to fourth density. So, but this earth needs us, because what Mother Earth does is that she carries all the chaos of us beings fighting and not getting along, and our thinking thoughts and all the yuck. She's been carrying it for a very, very long time, more than 25,000 years. My team has told me more than once, we've had this cycle at least twice before on Earth, and we haven't made it. This time, a percentage of us is making it to that positive Earth. But right now, underneath the ground, Mother Earth is very, very busy. She's busy carrying all this yuck for us. And so, and Mindy is right. So what I do, you don't even have to feel it if you're not awakened enough to feel it, but just go outside wherever you feel good. That's absolutely a great idea, Mindy. You go outside where you feel good. And so what I do, whether you can use your imagination or not, is I send Mother Gaia the dirt and the crystalline grid below. I send it love. And know that that love is being returned to you. And the more you begin to heal Mother Earth, is what Mindy was saying, the more Mother Earth heals you. So the more you take care of Mother Earth, the more Mother Earth takes care of you. It's like if you just stop, ever stop long enough to say, Mother Earth, I know you have a consciousness. I know you're loving, Mother, because look at all the life you allow on your back. The billions of ants and critters and trees and plants, and us humans. Wow. And just give her a thank you, a shout out. Maybe you can do it once a day. Maybe you can do it once a week or once a month. Maybe you can only take time out to do it once ever often, but do it. And you'll be so thankful you did. You will feel it. You will learn to feel it within your bones. I have a tree on my property that I've learned. I touch her branches, and we generally shake hands in the morning, and I can feel that tree's love, that tree's connection to Mother Earth. And we are one. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a clearing. It's a grounding. And I know Mother Earth is busy. And so as awakened beings, yes, we get a lot of grounding from Mother Earth. But I also know that you may not be receiving the grounding that you thought you would. It's because she's so busy under the ground, carrying all of us right now and all the chaos. So send her some love. And you might find that you enjoy grounding more. Sorry, it's just who I am, you guys. So, you might enjoy grounding more if you do something, like perhaps go for a bike ride outside, or go for a swim, or just go outside and watch the stars. That might help you ground more right now. Just being out in nature any way you can. So I'm asking my guides if they have anything else. They say not at this exact second. Sorry.
I like it because it gives you, for me, it gives me a reset. But what would you say to people who are like, what the heck is grounding and what am I going to feel from it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. One of you.
Well, I would say there's a couple of different ways, and Mother Earth has let me know that it's really important for us to make sure we're grounding in our bodies. It's really, really important that even if we don't ground very well to her, ground into our bodies. And because we are part of her, we will ground into her. But grounding basically means to recognize that your consciousness is grounded into your body, that you are aware, being fully aware. Oftentimes, because of stress, because of traumas, because of the challenges, the conditioning, and the control that we've had for so long, many people walk around sort of halfway dissociated all the time, not even fully aware that their butt is touching a chair, for example.
Yeah, and also I've met many awakened people who spend so much time out in their head with let's say with psychic work or that kind of work. They seem very lofty, very hard to communicate, and to they're not grounded in their bodies because their consciousness is spends so much time out in the ether. And number one, I've been told that if you do that too much, you fry your systems, because we're all electromagnetic frequency beings. So you don't want to do that. Number two, grounding, believe it or not, helps you expand more. It's like you trying to grow a tree without roots. And so you don't want to grow that tree without roots. It's going to topple over. So grounding helps you to grow your roots stronger and stronger, so you can go higher and grow higher and grow higher. What about you, Katie? What's grounding to you? Come on, we gave it up.
My goodness. You know what? It took me a while to really get into grounding. I was like, what the heck is going on with me? And I'll ground later, or, I'll run my feet through the grass as I'm hopping into my car to speed off to work or something. And I was really doing myself a disservice. And it was actually, talking to other people going through the Awake program and MonaLisa, and, just the more I meditated, the more grounding kept coming up. And, so at one point in time, I was like, well, I'm just going to go get a grounding mat, and I'm going to kill, 2 or 3 birds with one stone by doing this. And no, actually, I was just screwing myself in a way, because once I was in such a distraught place with something, all I heard was, go outside. And so I did. And once I really just kind of let it all go and let my feet sink in the grass and just kind of start acknowledging, like, oh my gosh, I love that tree. I love that, this beautiful flower. There's this, there's that. Look at this sun. It didn't matter if it was sun or overcast, because no matter what, the shades of the colors were just gorgeous. They were just beautiful. And once I just let myself fall into all of that, I really got what grounding is. And it's so important, especially if you're going through health issues or some kind of a crisis or trauma, divorce, sickness of a loved one, selling your home if you don't want to. I mean, anything and everything that is that trauma that's all relative to you, it really does help. And now it's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it is. For my clients, I tell them, go put your feet in the grass, or go to the beach, or just to go lose yourself and be observant in nature, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's using all of your senses to connect with nature. Smell the flowers or the rain, right? Feel the grass under your feet, listen to the birds, listen to the water, right? Smell the air.
Yeah.
Taste the
Feel it. Feel like your skin, it is amazing. And you're having this moment, but that moment could be just 2 minutes. So what I learned is, that was part of healing me too. That was part of taking time for myself. And then I had to go in that domino effect and kind of work on that too. But it was something so simple that I ignored for so long that became huge.
You're not the only person. I've heard other people, it's like their last thing that they do at the end of their awakening journey. And why are we so stubborn about that? I think we're human. For me, when I was a kid, grounding was natural. We were always outside, camping in the dirt, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want anything to do with it as an adult. I had all the dirt I could handle as a kid, So it was one of those last things for me too. But I will tell everyone, the first thing I do every day, I go out, I go for my walk, I live in the forest, I have a mini lake. I go around the lake. I stand there at the top of the hill and I look at the trees and the water and talk to my trees, talk to Mother Tree, talk to the sun tree, her son, and we just have a good old time. So that's what I do daily to ground. But I know other people who just go out for a moment and take a couple deep breaths and center themselves, but they do it outside. And it makes a difference than doing it inside than outside. So even just a couple, 3 or 4 breaths outside saying, thank you for this fresh air, source energy. Because as we breathe fresh air outside, a lot of people don't realize when you breathe in air into your molecules, you're breathing in oxygen from the trees. You're breathing in molecules that could have been from a star long ago. So that energy becomes a part of you, and your DNA knows it and can feel it. It's just really awesome.
Mindy, we're breathing in light.
Mm-hmm.
And we're breathing in light. We forget that we're breathing in photons that are in the air.
Exactly.
You are. And one of the things that I found that as I'm trying to better my health and doing this research and listening to different, gurus that are out there, they all kind of have a common theme for in the morning or when you're first waking up. And that is, don't jump on your phone. Don't check those emails right away. Don't get into any of life. Just wake up in the first few moments of gratitude and drink water because your body gets dehydrated through the night. And then the third thing is get some sun. And if there isn't sun out at that time, still go outside for just a few minutes. So, when I started practicing it and listening to it, it's made a huge difference in my life for me getting up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Mindy, what do you do that makes your soul laugh or brings your soul joy now that you're awake?
That's a great question.
I think almost all that I do. I mean, to be honest with you, the work that I do with my clients definitely brings me a lot of joy. I don't leave my work day feeling drained. I feel energized by what I do. I love being out in nature and doing grid work when I can and connecting with the trees and the flowers and the birds and all the animals that come up to me, which is so fun to see. I enjoy time with my friends and my family. My son and his family just moved in with me not too long ago. And so now we're getting prepared for a baby to come into my home. And, that's really enjoyable. And, I do make it, I make it a goal almost to, if I'm feeling down in the dumps, I look for what can bring me joy. Sometimes it's maybe that I just got a little in my head and got separated from my typical states. And I can't say that I stay in joy all the time, but these days I stay in it a lot more than I ever did in my entire life. And it is doing things like grounding myself in nature and practicing gratitude. Each morning I sit silently before I even touch my coffee. I sit in silence in the dark and just focus on the gratitude that I feel for being alive and being healthy, for the love that I have in my life, to be in the frequency of love, and for the wealth in my life that gives me a sense of freedom, right, in order to be joyful. So it comes full circle in a way.
That's beautiful. And I find it interesting that all three of us do that, because the first thing I do when I wake up is I go to my higher self and to my oversouls and the infant great, and I tell them, thank you for another day. That's the first thing I say. Thank you for another day. Please lead the way. It's a little saying I have. I might, every now and then I'll change it up. But right now that's the one that's getting me. And so I find that fascinating. And then I go out and I do my grounding. And so I find that fascinating. That's what we all, the three of us do. I think that, I mean, that's great advice if you're brand new on your awakening journey, to start the day in gratitude and do some kind of grounding every single day. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience. So at this time, how can people, Mindy, how can they get in contact with you for your services and all that good stuff?
Well, for my psychotherapy services, I am bound to the state of Georgia because that's the way licensure works. But that doesn't limit me to working with people only in psychotherapy or in the state of Georgia. So I can do energy healing work, quantum level through, video conferencing, and spiritual coaching as well. So my very best way to contact me is actually through my Psychology Today profile. So if you just go to the Psychology Today website and type in my name, type in Georgia, type in Carrollton, Georgia, you'll find me. Look for the redhead. The website for the Sanctuary of Krystal Sophia has not been launched yet. I sort of had to do a backup and punt. I started in one direction, and it wasn't long before I was redirected and developed a different level of discernment in that lesson as well. So hopefully that will be launched before the end of the year, though. And that's going to be interesting because it's going to offer hopefully a podcast attached to it with links to other podcasts and websites. But it is my goal to, do what I feel led to do, which is to teach some more and offer some certifications, as well as providing an online community for people who are of like mind and like soul. So yeah, the best way is Psychology Today.
Psychology Today, right on. Well, thank you. Okay, so I do have one other quick question, MonaLisa, if we're good with that. I know we've got about 12 minutes. I wasn't sure if you still want to bring in Zan or not.
Yeah, I can bring in Zan.
And if
Is it for me or
for Mindy? Sorry, for Mindy. And also, if any of our viewers do have questions, type it in the chat. We'll be more than happy to get it answered for you too. My question, one last question for you, because we do have some people watching who are going through very, very, very tough times. Yours was, a stroke and all of this stuff that was happening, but others, find themselves thinking like, well, I'm not having a stroke, but I am going through this, really terrible divorce. I'm finding my awakening, but in other words, you didn't give up. You didn't spiral down. You didn't become a victim to your circumstance. You, like you said, immediately go, I got to get this thing kicked into gear, right? And you brought your vision back. There are others out there that have been in but car crashes and left them, in comas, and then they wake up and then all of a sudden they're playing the piano or what have you. What can you say, something just motivational to them that you felt when you said, I'm not going to spiral, I'm going to get myself healed and put together, for these people that really are starting to spiral?
Well, I told myself every time I have been knocked down, and I've been knocked down so many times, there is no other choice. And I think there was this deep spiritual integrity in me ever since I was a small child, and this sense of a mission that I've never fully just put my finger on, that just kept pushing me forward. Like, I will say this, what has been brought into my awareness more recently is this: we definitely are much more powerful than we've been taught to believe. We are much more creative, much more loving, much more intuitive than we have been led to believe. And we're at a pivotal point in history where we all have to say there is no other choice but to save ourselves, really.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And when you rang trying to when you had, you've always had a knowing. So a different, that's it. Your team came in and said, it's for everyone. And this is what's for everyone. Everyone wants to know, well, I don't have that sense of purpose. Well, we all have soul contracts. And my team, Source Energy, the Infinite Creator, whatever you want to call them, says that 99.9% of us came in and said, I will be awakening being. And I will help bring higher consciousness through and to the planet. Through me sitting in love, through me sitting in light, through me sitting in all that there is. You don't have to do anything spectacular. You can still cut hair and be you if that's your job, but be awakened and sit in that heart space. You can an auto mechanic and learn to sit in the heart space, right? Learn that maybe every 15 customers, if you to the point where, you're raking in some really good money, maybe just for the fun of it, every 15 customer, you give it away for free. When you do something like that, it comes back to you 10, 100-fold. So we all came with a higher purpose. And a good part of that for most of us is just to be an awakened being, which means to sit in our heart space more than not. So you're going to sit in love for yourself and for others more than you don't. And it's okay no matter where you're at on that learning curve. But this is what all that there is wants you to hear right now. You did come here to wake up in this here, this now, in this conscious era, and to rise your consciousness, because we all are beings of light and frequency. And your frequency radiates out to all the people you live with, your community, and beyond, more than you can possibly imagine. So we invite you, meaning Mindy and Katie and all that there is, invite you to sit in your heart space more and more and more and more. And just like Mindy, and just like Katie, just like myself, you do that by learning how to love yourself. And how do you learn how to love yourself? My team calls it following the positive energy stream. But you have to find your own positive energy stream path. So my team says it's so simple. Love the moment you're in, and then love the next moment you're in. But really, you came here to awake, to bring higher consciousness to the planet. And that means to the consciousness, that means to everyone on the planet. And my team is here, my angelic team, saying they want to thank you. They want to thank you for listening to your heart space, for listening to this broadcast, for listening more and more and that positive energy stream, and becoming more you, more conscious, more awake. And it's really that simple. It's only humans that try to muddy up the water. It's only our mind, our monkey mind, that tries to muddy up the water so that we don't know what we're doing. That's not true. Your consciousness, your heart, your intuition, just breathe, will always lead you to love. So that's what you're doing here. Raising consciousness. Peace begins on the planet by finding the peace in you. And my team really wishes that you would laugh every day and you would find a way to love yourself every step of the way. So I think that's it. And Mindy, do you have anything else at all you would like to add before we close this up today?
Well, I would also say, if you are struggling, if you're having a really hard time in life and it feels like you keep getting knocked down and over and over again, remember this is not the be all end all of your life. Your true life is eternal. And this is just, a place where we learn some things and do some things, and then we'll go on and do more and learn more somewhere else. So, or, maybe come back here again and do it again, if you need to or want to. But, this is just a blip. This is a tiny blip in the broad span of time. So, we're not getting out alive, but we are.
No such thing as death. So that's I will remind people, awake really just means that you are aware you're a conscious being. But my team gave me some tools. Awake, to help you realize that you're awake, also means that you realize death isn't real and this life is just a dream. You can pretend like you're actor or actress on a stage. Remember, you write the play. You write the play every step of the way. And honestly, just like in a dream, when you get it wrong, you have a nightmare, you wake up and you say, man, I won't do that again. I won't have that dream. We do the same thing when we wake up on the other side. So death isn't real. That's part of being awake when you really, really cement that. And this dream is just a field trip for your soul.
I love that. Field trip for your soul.
For sure. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Mindy. We loved having you. And MonaLisa, as always.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Soul Navigators podcast. And we hope today's journey supports you in your own awakening and connection to one consciousness. If this episode resonated, we'd love for you to follow the show and share it with someone who would benefit from this work. To go deeper, visit soulnavigators.academy, and you can find all of my books on Amazon. Until next time, remember, we're walking this path together.